What's going on YouTube? Just back out here in the garage today. Hope everybody's doing well. In today's video I'm going to be installing the Bike Evo on my girlfriend's 2021 Triumph Street Triple RS. She ended up getting the race fit for the bike, race fit growler exhaust for the bike, and it's been running pretty crappy lately, and obviously after you do exhaust it's definitely good to get a tune or some sort of fuel management. So I'm going to be installing that on the bike today, and hopefully that makes it run a little bit better. From my understanding, the Rapid Bike is a really good way of doing it. It's self-adjusting, and so I just figured we would try it out and see how the bike runs afterwards. It might need a custom map afterwards, I don't know. But so with that being said, we'll just jump over onto the bike and I'll show you what needs to be done to install the Rapid Bike. Okay. Alright, well here's the Rapid Bike Evo. This is the module that you get. It's got the connector here that interfaces with this guy right here, so that guy plugs in. These cables right here are for the USB to connect with a computer. There's a quick shifter one here and another port. And this black wire that's coming off here is your negative terminal that goes onto your battery, or somewhere negative anyway, like on the frame or whatever. I'd recommend just putting it on the battery. I think that's where I'm going to put it. On the other end, there's a bunch of different connectors that you also have to hook up. This one right here is your gear sensor, so gear position sensor. You have on this bike there's going to be three injector plugs because it's a triple, and then they're labeled. Each one has their own label on it. It says injector 1, injector 2. This green wire right here for this bike specific is for your throttle position, so you have to tap into the throttle position wire, and I think it's a pink and white wire. I'm not too sure. Once I get the tank off and everything, I'll confirm that, but it does say in the instruction that it's pink and something. So that's your injector wires there, the black plugs. This is your crank position sensor right here, so you got to get into that as well. And right down here is your O2 sensors. So it's just all plug and play. You just got to find the corresponding, and then these plug in line with that system, with the stock system, and it does a little bit of trickery and makes the bike think that it's doing something it's not. So it's a pretty cool system. The reviews that I've seen online for other bikes have been pretty good. I haven't seen too much about this bike, but I was willing to give it a try. There's not many places around where I live that we can take the bike to get tuned, so this is the next best option. Obviously afterwards you can get a custom map written on this as well if it's not good, but we're going to try it out of the box and see how the self-adjusting auto-tune feature on it works, and maybe it'll fix up the bike. Right now it's running really choppy, and it's got a massive reduction in power in the low end. Up in the higher RPM it's fine, it seems, but just down low that it seemed to have lost power. It's a little bit choppy. It's not as smooth as it used to be. That's the module, that's the Rapid Bike, and that's the stuff that comes with it. There's another little baggie down here that they give you for different connectors. There's a little red guy right here, that's your focus camera. There's to splice into the throttle position. If you want to get the instructions, they have it on the top of the box. When you buy your module, to just email info@rapidbike.us, and then they'll send you the manual by email. And then you can go from there. They give you a couple stickers if you want to throw those on your bike. So yeah, let's see what we can get into, and it's going to be an adventure on this one because I've never taken this bike apart before. So obviously, the first things that are going to have to happen is we're going to have to remove the tank, remove the seat, the cowling to get the seat off. I'm probably going to disconnect the battery just to be safe. And and then I also have to get the air box off after that. So once you get the tank off, it's the air boxes next. And so I'm going to figure out what tools off camera here that you need to get everything apart, and then we'll jump over to the bike and we'll go from there. Some of the tools that I've come across so far that you're going to need to take it apart. You're going to need a 10mm socket for your battery terminal. You're going to need a 9mm or no, sorry, an 8mm socket to remove the bolt at the back of the tank that's just under the seat here. You're going to need a number 5 hex, and that's going to be for these two little guys up here, and it's also to remove the bolt for the seat. That's all the tools that I've come across so far that you need for that. Having a pair of like needle nose or something will be good for maybe getting the hoses off of the bottom of the tank, and also a smaller flathead screwdriver for the connectors underneath of the bike or underneath of the tank. It might be good for popping those out as well. They can be a little bit of a pain, so just a small screwdriver. I'll grab one eventually. So yeah, so those are the tools that you're going to need that I've come across so far, and we'll just jump on to getting everything taken apart. To remove your seat, obviously you have to take off either your rear passenger seat, or if you have the more fancy looking cowling for the back, then you have to remove that. The keyhole is just over here at the back, and then that pops off the rear seat. And then in order to get the main seat off, you have to just loosen this guy out. I've already done it off camera. And then this just slides backwards, right? So that's how you get to that. That's your battery and everything under there. So this is what I was talking that the 8mm for. It's for this guy right here. That holds on the tank, and then also you have to do these guys up here. Last time I loosened off these plastic pieces as well. There's these plastic pieces that run down the side of the tank, but I don't know if I necessarily have to take them off because the tank's coming up completely, right? So I'm just gonna maybe avoid doing that this time. Last time I lifted the tank up a little bit to get under there because something was rattling. It ended up being the ECU was loose for whatever reason. You can take the whole battery out if you want to, but being we're doing electronic work on the bike, I feel like it's probably a good idea to remove the battery or at least take a terminal off so there's no power being, no power being given to the bike, even though the bike is off and the key's off. But just to be safe, you never know. You might screw something up, touch something you're not supposed to touch, and El Zapple, not good. So we're just gonna get the tank off now. I don't have my camera moment with me tonight, so I gotta figure out how I can set my camera up so I can take this apart. I might just start getting the components off and then just show you what the next part is stage by stage. It's kind of hard to do without a cameraman today, or in my case, camera woman. Well, I found something to hold up the garbage can. I mean, not the garbage can. I found something to hold up the camera, which is my garbage can. I don't have a tripod yet. That's going to be the next purchase, so it makes it a lot easier for me to do this stuff by myself. Filming, working on motorcycles is not the most easiest task. It's a lot better with friends. Yeah, so I'm just going to start by taking this guy off here at the back of the tank. Help if I use the right wrench. Okay, so I got the tank propped up here using a bottle of Yamalube. It's good for something, I guess. Actually, I run Yamalube in my Yamaha. I haven't had any I don't have any complaints about it. So yeah, all the different connectors are down here. There's a bunch of different vacuum hoses and drainage hoses that you have to get off. There's a fuel line that comes out. There's some electrical connections down there. It might be kind of hard to see. But yeah, just under the tank, just behind the air box and the ECU, there is a bunch of hoses and stuff that you have to get off in order to get the tank off and lift it directly off. Okay, so we got the tank off. I got the different hoses disconnected. You got your different power cables here. I'm not sure what they're for. Oh, I know exactly what they're for. One's power for the pump, and one is your sending unit for your fuel level. This here is the fuel line. They got this fancy little connector here. You just slide this orange cap back, and then on each side of the connector you have a little push pin. Like you just push in on the sides here like this, and then it pops right off, and then obviously you're going to get gas all over the place. I did. It just reeks like gas in here, and it even got me in the face. And then you have some sort of vacuum or drainage hose here. This guy's the ECU. I think I'm going to remove that. It's just three connectors on the back of it, on the bottom of it I should say. I'm going to remove that just so it doesn't keep flopping around every which way. And so in the instructions it does show the tank, or not the tank, the air box removed. I might attempt to do it without it. Down in here is your injector connectors. There's 3 of them. And then the other cable that I need to get to is down there, and that's the throttle position cable. I can see the wire that I need right there. So maybe taking the airbox off might be good. I'm gonna try doing it without it, and if I start struggling, then I'm just gonna end up taking the airbox off because I really don't feel like struggling. I don't think this is gonna be a one-day install for me. Obviously, I'm not a mechanic, so it might take a little while. I might have to do this video over 2 days, but I thought I'd start filming it now and go over the process of getting this out. It's step by step, one piece at a time. Take you along the journey with me. I'm learning as I go, so hopefully it helps somebody else out, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have done this and have lots of pointers for me, and if you do, well, just send a comment in the videos. I'd really like all the tips and pointers that, you know, people out there that know what they're doing. You know, if you got anything, let me know, because yeah, this stuff's a struggle sometimes. So yeah, I'm gonna jump on here again, and so a couple of the connectors I think that you need are right here, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I have to find them. There's also going to be a connector down here underneath of the chain guard there. The wires are running down here. One is your O2 sensor, I think, or maybe that's up at the top, but a gear position sensor. There's definitely one of them. And yeah, so we'll just go from there. Hopefully by then my girlfriend will be home and she can film this for me. Alright, well, in order to get the airbox off, you're going to want to take off these air sensors here. I think one's probably, I'm not sure what they are. I know one's probably temperature. I'm not sure what the other one is. Maybe flow or something like that. Not too sure on that anyway, but in order to get the tank off, you're going to need a T20 Torx. You're going to take off all the different Torx that are going around the tank, all the way around here, and then there's one little guy down in this hole, so you have to get that guy off. So yeah, definitely going to take the tank off, just make things easier. So I'm going to start with taking off these connectors, and then I'll go around. Once you get down to the throttle bodies, it's definitely good to put a rag or something that's not fibrous either. Like maybe a rag's not a great idea, but if you have like shop towels or something like that, that's a better option, because they're not going to get little fibers down into the throttle bodies. I don't necessarily have them, but I'm going to try and find something that doesn't have too much fiber in it, that can break off, or microfiber towels will definitely not be the good option for that. So once we get down there, we'll check that out, and yeah. Because back in earlier on in the spring and throughout the winter time, I noticed that mice were in my garage. So I'm like, you know what, I think I should probably check my bike. So in my MT10 over there, took the tank off and went into the airbox, and sure as can be, there was a mouse using it as a storage container for the seeds that it finds outside. And then we ended up finding the nest in one of my old work tool bags. So the little buggers were in here using my bike as a storage container, and their garage is its new home. So we haven't had the time to check this bike, so this will be a good check to see if any mice have gone inside my girlfriend's airbox too. If that's the case, the inlet for this bike is on the front, so I'm probably going to put a rag in there next year for this bike. And for mine, I'm going to have to take apart the plastics on the airlet inlets and put rags in there as well, because I don't want them getting into the bike again. Another place that they like to go in is your exhaust. So that's one place. So I'll always put a rag in the end of my exhaust over the winter time, and at least if I see it sitting on the ground, then I know that it's been pulled out and something's tried to get in there, right? I mean, going in the exhaust is probably a bad idea. Yeah, so we got that off now. Not too sure where to go from here. There's probably a video on the internet I could watch. The velocity stacks here look like they need to come out. It seems like there's a couple bolts down there. There's a bolt back here that seems to be, always likes to focus on my hand. There's a bolt back there. This is the rubber inlet coming in. So yeah, just have to go at it. Seems like the velocity stack bolts are what are holding the back part on, and then the front's being held on by that. This rubber grommet thing, I don't know how that comes off. Maybe I just push it out that way. Yeah, that might be the way to do it. Might be something that comes off. Oh, I'm not even. Yeah, so I think maybe you just pull this down and it'll pop out. So yeah, we'll check it out. Okay, well now that we got the air box off, we'll start moving on to getting the different connectors on. So we have the injectors, and you also have the throttle position, which is over here in the corner. If my camera would focus, yeah, so the throttle position guy is just down in here. And you have to tap into a wire on that guy. And then you have these are your injectors right here. This is injector, this is cylinder 1. So from the left side of the bike over, as per the instructions. So injector 1, injector 2, and injector 3. And that's all I know so far of where everything is, but as I keep going in, I'll let you know where they are. So I'm going to start by working on these injectors here and getting these off there. The wire harness is all in the way here, so it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to get in there and work. And the little thing that you need to push up on is at the bottom of these injectors, so just a little finicky, but definitely doable. So yeah, I'll just get the injector wires hooked up. On the wire harness that comes with the Rapid bike, they're all labeled, so it's injector 1, injector 2, injector 3. So every single wire has a label on it, so I don't think you can mess it up. Definitely a good tip is to do one at a time. They're laid out pretty well. I don't think they're going to fall anywhere else. But just do one injector at a time and one cable at a time, so that way if you're taking it all apart and then all of a sudden you walk away for a half hour or whatever and come back and oh, what cable's what. So just do them all at one at a time and make sure they're back in and good and snug, right? Because you don't want them popping out, else you're going to lose a cylinder on these guys. So yeah, well, not lose a cylinder, but lose gas to a cylinder. So yeah, it's a little tight in here. It's not the easiest project. It's definitely doable. So I'm just gonna keep moving forward with that. So okay, so after the injectors are done, you're gonna have to do the throttle position sensor. This green wire right here connects into it. They give you a little tap thing that you use to connect into the other wire. I mean, if you're really adventurous, you could solder it in if you wanted to. It might be a little bit of a better connection, I mean. So the green wire is connected to the pink wire on the throttle position sensor just over here. So it'll be easier to get this connector off, and then you're gonna have to get a little bit of the electrical tape that they have protecting the wire off. So you have to peel some of that back, and just to get a little bit more room to be able to work. And then yeah, so that's the throttle position sensor. And then after that, I think I'll move on to. Okay, so I got the throttle position sensor done. The clips over here, the connector is over here. They have to take apart or take off, sorry. And this green wire, you use the little splice connector that they have. The green wire, you just strip the end of it a little bit with a pair of wire strippers, and then you push it down into the connector and then screw the top back in. You want to do that second, and then you screw off the gray cap that's right here. And you put that over top of the pink wire, and then you screw that down in, and then it has a little tiny pin that goes between, like it pierces the jacket on the wire, makes a connection with the copper inside, and then you screw the green one in on top. So it's the pink wire and the green wire go together with that little splice kit that they give you. So yeah, that's the throttle position sensor done, and then the injectors are all done. So that's pretty much everything over here. I was reading the instructions and I was mistaken. The O2 sensor is actually down here, and the gear position sensor is somewhere up here. So I said that earlier in the video, I was wrong. So the gear position sensor is somewhere down in this area right here, and the O2 sensor is down on the side of the bike. So just hopefully you've watched long enough and watched long enough and you know that now. Yeah, so I'm moving on to the crank position sensor, and it's been a little confusing to find. I thought it was this pin right here that was like a 6-pin connector. That's not it, because I seen the wire code or colors that were on it and it matched. So I'm like, oh, that's it. Maybe they sent me the wrong, maybe it's the wrong harness, and I was connected down in here. That's not the right one. The crank position sensor is actually a lot farther down. It's very difficult to get to. And if you come over here to the side of the bike, you'll be able to come in here, and right between where the cam chain adjuster is and right on the top down in here, that's where it is. It's a 2-pin connector, and it has a blue with violet stripe on it and blue with black stripe on it. So it's down in there, just so in case anybody was wondering, it's down in there. It's difficult to find, and I was all confused. So now that I know that, I just have to try and find that and struggle to get that guy removed. So that's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass to do, but we'll try and get it. So yeah, all right. All right, well, the crank position sensor has been a little bit of a nightmare. I've been working on it since last night. These are the cables that you need. And so they say crank position sensor on them. Down here is where the crank position sensor is. This is the female end to it. It's sitting right over here. And then if you come over to the other side of the bike, it's down in there, and it's almost like you won't be able to see it, but if you're ever working on this bike, it's down in here, and it's an absolute nightmare to get. If you come over to the other side of the bike, I took off the coolant reservoir, and this wire is the male end to it, and you can pull it out from underneath of the starter, and it's just over here, and it's got a green and black wire on it. And so I'm just thinking that maybe I can route it up a different way to make it a little bit easier to access and get the plug on, because it's been an absolute nightmare trying to work with those plugs down in that tiny little area. So I was reading on the forums, and a lot of guys seem to be struggling with that sensor, the crank position sensor, and notably so, because it's almost an impossible area to get at. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and get the wires up here a little bit more, just something a little bit different. Hopefully the wires are long enough, because working down there is impossible. So I'll have to figure something out. If I have to extend the wires, I'm going to extend them. I'll just solder some smaller 18 gauge wire or whatever onto it, and go from there, because that's just a nightmare. It's almost impossible to do down there. If you're able to do that down in that tiny little space, I mean, all the power to you, and good job, because Alright, so what I did for the crank position sensor wiring is that I took the rubber jacket that came on the Rapid Bike harness, and I just split that back. You just want to be really careful, maybe not use when using a knife to cut it back, you don't want to nick the wires inside. And I just split them to get a little bit more length on them, so I just cut it back towards more center of the harness, and then I just retaped them back up. Got lots of electrical tape kicking around. I'm an electrician, so if you need any electrical tape, hit me up. Maybe I'll send you some. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to send electrical tape, but I got lots of it kicking around. It's good to use. You don't want the wires to be exposed. I mean, if you got stuff to make a new, I don't know what it's like, wire loom type stuff, you could probably cover it with that, but electrical tape works just fine. So yeah, I just extended the wires so that one can come down on this side down here, and then the other one can reach over and make it to the other side of the bike, where the female end, or the male end's on that side, and then the female end's on this side. So you want to plug this end in here. So you just got to extend them a little bit, and then that's what's worked for me. As I said, working down in that little corner down there is not easy, so that's a little trick. Hopefully that helps you out. I got the gear position sensor, or not the gear position sensor, the O2 sensor all hooked up now. So next I'm going to do the gear position sensor. It's located right here. It's a 4-wire connector, and it's just beside these two guys. It's kind of tucked in there. It might be in a slightly different spot on your bike, but it seems like it's a pretty short wire. But you can pull it up a little bit, and you'll be able to get the connector off. So it's just down in here. I'm going to get that guy connected up, and then just want to show you where it is, and then we'll get over to the O2 sensor, and the O2 sensor is down on the other side of the bike. I said in the beginning of the video I had it mixed up. The gear sensor's under the seat and the O2 sensor's down there. I said that the gear position sensor's down there and the O2's up here. So sorry for that, but in fact, it's up here. So get that all connected up and then I'll get the O2 sensor installed. Got the gear position sensor down here. Here's the connection right here. It was pretty simple. Might have actually been the easiest one. I think the O2 sensor might be the easiest one. The O2 sensor is just on the side of the bike and it's just down here. There's a little connector right here. So that's it, and you want to fish your wires through here. You might have to take off the crank cover right here, and then just fish your wires in through up here. This is where the water reservoir goes. There's 2 bolts on the side of the frame, or 2 nuts, sorry, on the side of the frame, sitting like roughly right here. A little tricky to get out, but you can get a wrench in there and get them off. They got these little rubber grommets on it to protect the wires, because there's a lot of wires that are running through here. So I put the little rubber grommets back on. It's these little guys right here. Just these tiny little things. I think it's just so the wires don't rub on the end of the bolt inside there. Yeah, so you just want to run your O2 sensor wire. It's the longest one there. Just have it kind of come down and obviously inside the bike, and then it connects up down there. So that's the last connector I have to do. And then I just have to put the bike back together. So that's going to be a treat in itself, but yeah, I don't know if we actually really needed to take off the air box, but it definitely did help. So it makes a little bit more work, but it does give you more space. So I'm kind of glad that I did do it. So yeah, I'm just going to get that O2 connector put together, and then I'll start putting the bike back together. Okay, well, I got the O2 sensor connected right here. Kind of looks ugly, I think, but I got it all tucked in there the best I could. I put a couple of zip ties around it here, just to tuck it all up in there, and then I just ran the wires through right here, and then the wires run up here, and then they come up to the top. I just zip tied everything kind of in there. That's where the water canister hit, or the overflow for the rad goes. And then so I'm just gonna zip tie all the wires up nice and neat here, get them out of the way, make them secure, and then I'm going to start putting everything back together. The other thing that I noticed that I didn't do is that the wire harness, it's better to have the wire harness at the, this is going to be where it's going to sit. It's going to sit in the tail. You know, and getting it through this, there's like a little spot through here, and a little, like you can come through here, and to fish all those wires through it seemed like a pain in the ass. So what I figured I would do is that I would just take off the plastic pieces here, so take off the rear of the tail, and then I can slide this connector through there. But currently it's too big, so I just need a little bit more space to get that through there. So I think that's going to be the best way to go about it. Yeah, so I'm just going to get all the wires all nice and cleaned up, and start getting the air box and everything back together. And I don't think that I'm going to bore you with the putting it back together process. Everything goes back together exactly the way you took it apart. I could sit here and film the whole process of me putting it back together, but I mean, this video is already getting long as it is. So I'm trying to make it as informative as possible, but at the same time, I don't want it to be an hour-long video. It might end up splitting it into 2 parts, but I think I'll just make one full one. And yeah, so once I get everything back together, I'll show you, and then we'll start doing the startup process. And fingers crossed that everything turns on, that I've done everything correct. Another thing that I should mention, some bikes ripping by. Anyway, thanks for ruining my audio, but it's a good thing to ruin my audio when a bike goes by. This guy right here is it goes on your negative terminal of your battery, so that's the last connection I have to do. So I'm just going to put that guy over there. We got all your different connectors here. There's one for the map selector that you can have on your dash or up on your handlebars. There's one for the USB. They're all labeled, so it's there's aux in and a bunch of, yeah, so that would be for the quick shifter, if you want with a quick shifter that Rapid Bike has. I'm not sure if it's going to mess with the stock quick shifter. I think the system should still work. I hope that's the case, but we'll find out. Alright, anyway, so I'm going to get the cable back into the thing, and then I'm going to get everything all cleaned up, and I'll zip tie it in. I'm going to zip tie all the wires in here nice and neat so they're out of the way and protected, and then we'll do a startup process of this, and I'll jump on the laptop and show that as well. I don't know the laptop part, but we'll figure it out together. Alright, well, I got the bike all back together. Took a little bit of time to definitely do that. It's easier to take it apart than put it back together, but I got it. So I got the Rapid Bike module sitting under the rear passenger seat. And I got the little USB thing sitting up under the passenger seat, or the main seat. So in order to get the Rapid Bike module back here, like the cable for it, I had to just take a couple of these bolts off, and I was able to lift the plastic up enough to be able to sneak the wire through, and then just connect it in. So yeah, so that's the install complete on this. I think I might make a separate video on the computer side of it, just because this one's already long, and it's a little bit different, right? And I got to learn the software a bit, so. But we have taken the bike out for a ride, and it is doing what they say that it does, and the bike is running a little bit better. We put maybe 100 or so kilometers on it tonight, and after we got the install done, you can notice a complete difference in the way that the bike's riding. Before, when we would take off from light, there would be, or even just taking off in general, it'd be very choppy, or the on and off throttle would be very choppy. It'd be really boggy down low, and then it would like kind of surge a little bit when it got higher in the RPM. It would take a little while to climb. It just wasn't running right, and it was kind of really crackly. The exhaust was really crackly, and all that type of stuff has seemed to gone away, and it seems to have a little bit more power. I took it for a rip, and I was hard on it, and I've been hard on it like that before, and the front end didn't come up like that, and this time the front end came right up. So the bike is definitely running better. It seems to have a little bit more power. You know, when you put exhaust on a bike, you definitely have to put some sort of fuel management on it. But yeah, so it's doing what it says it's doing, and seeing it work on the computer is pretty neat too. It shows the tables, and you can show it shows you the adjustments that it's making percentage wise and fueling on the cylinders, and shows you the RPM and gear position and all that type of stuff. So as I said, I think I'm going to make a separate video on that. And then, yeah, so this is the install on it. So got that done. It's quite the process. I mean, if you're not a mechanic, I would expect, you know, maybe a day. I have no clue what it would take. It took me a really long time. It's taken me 2 days. This video hasn't been shot over one day. It's been 2 days. The hardest part, that I came across was the crank position sensor. It's really hard to get down there, and if you're not gentle, you could really damage the wire. So it's something that you definitely want to be gentle with when you're working on that, and not start pulling on wires too much. But as I said earlier on in the video, there's a little trick that I found that worked to get the wire to where I needed it to, and then I cut the protective jacket off of the Evo bike harness, and then it was able to get to the other side where I moved the plug to. So yeah, so that's the install. Yeah, so it's definitely impressed, and I definitely recommend at this point Rapid Bike Evo to anyone that's looking for fuel management for their new exhaust that they put on their bike. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it's informative for you and helps you out if you purchase this for your 2021 Toronto Street Triple. It'd be really great if you could like and subscribe. It inspires me to make more content, and I enjoy making this stuff for you guys. So hit the like button, subscribe, and the notification, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out!